Here we go. So my friends, we need to talk about Unlimited. We need to talk about a change that 2K have made about a month ago. It wasn't the last big update. It was the big update before that where something changed. And as I go through this, you're going to have probably arguments to the point I'm making. But when I get to the end, I'm going to answer all those arguments before you can make them. Because 4 weeks ago, I thought this was a theory. It was a theory 4 weeks ago. I mentioned it on the podcast. And now it's not a theory anymore. It's absolutely fact that 2K have introduced skill-based matchmaking to Unlimited. There is no two ways about it. So all the things that you're going to say, the cards are better, people have got better at the game, Debo never loses a game. I'm going to answer all of that at the end of this video. But before we get there, I'm going to talk to you about why I'm absolutely certain at this point that 2K have added skill-based matchmaking. And I'm going to tell you whether I think it's a good thing or a bad thing. Before we do that, guys, I need to say a big, big thank you because we hit 800 subs yesterday. And that is absolutely incredible. Like, we really started working on this channel in December. 3 months later, we've hit 800 subs. Just to be completely transparent, we cleared the watch hours we required to be monetized. Once we hit 1,000 subs, we will be monetized, which is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to do something incredible with the money that I generate from the channel, which I'm going to tell you once we get to that 1,000 subs. And as I've been promising for a long time, I'll give away 450k VC. So thank you to everyone who subbed. And if you haven't, drop a sub now. And if you like the video, drop a like. Right, let's get into this. So my suspicions kind of came about at the start of this season. So previous seasons, my win record has always been somewhere between 80 and 85%, whether I'm glitching or whether I'm running my main squad. That's where it sits. And this season, in terms of people getting better at the game, my progression in the game over the last 6 weeks in terms of skill is the steepest climb I've had. Like, my defense has got way, way better. My shooting has got better. I'm running through a gaming monitor now. Like, there's so many steps I've taken. I'm running through LAN where I wasn't before. There's so many steps I've taken to be better at this game. Some of them are just sort of logistics, like setting up a better setup here, or me actually getting better at the game and learning from people like Notorious God and things like that. So my skill level has definitely gone up over the last 6 weeks. No two ways about it. And in Limited, just to put it in perspective, I play a lot of Limited. I play 25 to 30 games every weekend. I get a lot of rage quits. I try to build up as much MT as I can through Limited. I've lost 2 games of Limited this season. I'm roughly like 102 on Limited. On Unlimited, I reckon my win ratio is about 70% on the games I've played. Obviously, Notorious God uses my account, and he's in that Debo league in terms of how good he is. You know, he's a pro gamer. He's played in 2K tournaments, official tournaments as well. So, you know, he's not going to get beaten very easily by anyone, even if they are a super sweat. But my season has been way, way more difficult. And there's one thing that every game has in common. 2 things, actually. The first thing is everyone does their settings. You know how you occasionally play a game where, you know, you just run into someone who you know you're going to beat and you beat quite comfortably. You get an early rage quit and you move on to the next game. And maybe 1 in every 2 or 2 in every 3 games is sweaty. But you always get that one game every few games that's just a comfortable win. Guys, when I say it hasn't happened this season, it has not happened this season. I have not played a single player that didn't go in and do their settings, adjust them halfway through the game, all of this stuff. Like, and bear in mind, we've got days where there's just unlimited XP. We've got days where people who don't even play online are going online just to get a game in. So the chances of that happening this year are even higher. Guys, it has not happened once this season. I have not played one game that I would consider an easy game. And when I say, like, my skill level has gone up, 87% win ratio I had in Season 3. Right? When I say my skill level has gone up, like, it has. So even if everyone else has gone up as well, it should be equal. But everyone I'm playing is a sweat. Absolutely everyone. And there's one key thing, like I said, there's one key thing that kind of reoccurs. This is the second thing. I am continuously playing 12 and 0 rewards. And that kind of combines with something else, right? Which is, it's never taken me longer than 5 or 10 seconds to find a game. Now, it can take me up to 5 or 6 minutes to find a game. Because the algorithm is trying to match me up against someone who is a sweat. That's the reason. There's no scenario that in 6 minutes when I'm running a 94 overall, there isn't a matchup in the EU. It's just, that scenario doesn't exist. The reason it's taking so long to find a game is because it's trying to match me up against someone who's a sweat. Either someone who's in the Galaxy Opal tier, high in the Galaxy Opal tier, or has the 12 and 0 reward. Now, this isn't my imagination, guys. This absolutely is not my imagination. This season it's been like that. So when I say, like, it was a theory before and it's not anymore, there's one big thing that's changed over the last 4 weeks is there's kind of two things. One, every sweat is no longer enjoying Unlimited, right? So everyone who's good at the game, that's put time in, that's practiced, that goes online regularly and blows people out is not doing that anymore, which is why they're not enjoying the game. And the second thing is, slowly but surely, the entire community is starting to have this conversation. I jumped on Unbeatable Jacob's stream last night. He is elite at this game. Elite. When I say elite, like top 0.1%, he is amazing. Plays in MyTeam Madness tournaments, all of this stuff. He was spending 2 hours on stream yesterday, basically tanking. So he was losing multiple games. He was rage quitting out of game after game after game on purpose, because he said he wants to sort of reset that algorithm before next season because 2K has skill-based matchmaking. And he's right. He's absolutely right. Not only is it people like Jacob that are doing this, I know 2 or 3 people personally that have had similar experiences to me, right? That go 12-0 fairly comfortably every season. One of those guys has a 60% record this season, and he's sweating, and he is brilliant at the game. And like me, he's got better at the game. He has a 60% win record this season. The other one is a comp player. Comp player, right? Went 12-0 for Kevin McHale first time running his main squad. He went 1-6 yesterday on Unlimited. He lost 6 out of 7 games. Now, if you're telling me that's not skill-based matchmaking and something has changed from the previous season, at this point, you're just wrong. Just think about what I just said, that a comp player, an elite player at this game who went 12-0, first time for Kevin McHale, went 1-6. The only scenario where he goes 1-6 is if he has 7 really bad matchups in a row. Like I said previously, 1 in sort of 3 games, you would just get a blowout. Even if you were bang average at this game, you would win 1 in 3 games just because your opponent was always worse than you. Those matchups just aren't taking place. And for a comp level player to go 1-6 in Unlimited, I mean, something has to have changed. So what does this mean moving forward? Well, it means that it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to have a tougher time on Unlimited. The better you are at the game, the tougher the matchups you're going to get. And there's one point of this season which was really the kind of pinnacle of showing that this exists. I played a couple of games, and it was a Rockets XP. I was trying to get 10 points with a Rockets player. I picked up Diamond James Harden. I loaded into a game, and it was the sweatiest game ever. Like, the guy had an absolute god squad. He had Cedric and McHale, and I literally had to pull Harden out of the game because it was becoming so difficult to get his XP done, just get those 10 points. And it was costing me the game as well. So I was like, I can't lose the game. We hadn't got Cedric yet. So I was like, right, I'm just going to bail. The next game, I loaded in an 84 overall because I just wanted to get Harden's XP done. And I was like, regardless of what happens, even if I run into a 5-man, at the very least, I'll get Harden's XP done. I loaded in an 84 overall and still got matched up with a 95 overall Kevin McHale God Squad. Like, that is as transparent as it could ever get. And it's still, just to be clear, it took like 5 minutes to find that match. So, overall glitching is kind of dead. I know there's one method out there, and maybe I'll drop a video on it at some point. There is one method out there that still works, but it's because your overall is so low, basically, that you just can't match up against those guys. But an 84 matching up with a 95, and it taking 5 minutes to find that match, guys, it is skill-based matchmaking. Because I was running an 84 overall, it took forever to find an opponent that was at a similar overall with a similar skill level or similar win record. So they ended up matching me against a 95 overall because it was the only thing that made sense within the algorithm. So as I said, guys, it means that for everyone, this is about to get tougher. If you're worse at the game, you're probably going to match up with people who are worse at the game. And that's a great thing. If you're average, you're likely to match up with people who are average. If you're amazing, you'll match up with people who are amazing. The tough bit is if you're average and you're on a good run, you're going to start matching up against super sweats all the time. That's the toughest part of all of this. So I said in my last video, I'm done with Unlimited right this year. Like, I'm not really focused on the 12-0 rewards. I got Iggy done. Like I said, I got 87% win record that season. The next season, Notorious God got Kevin McHale for me, but I still had an 80% win record myself. And this season, like I said, I'm at about 70%. We've got Cedric because, again, Notorious God got him on my account. But even he had an evening, by the way, guys, where he lost like 4 games in one stream. Notorious God is at that level and he lost 4 games in one stream. So it's going to be tougher for everyone. The idea of going 12-0 becomes very, very different. Because if you've got a good win record, you're going to have to beat 12 sort of elite to comp level players in a row to get that 12-0 reward, which is why a lot of people aren't getting the 12-0 reward this season. It's why high-profile YouTubers have just kind of given up on it, that don't really want to play Unlimited unless they have to. You go back and you look and play, like, YouTubers always used to do content streams with a new card and stuff to Unlimited. Now they're playing TTO, or they're playing Limited. It's just not fun anymore. And I think that's the thing with the difference this has made, is it's not fun, because those easy wins you used to get were a really good break from the constant sweat. To sweat every game, every single game, really does make this mentally draining and just less enjoyable, even if you are winning each game. So I thought I would actually try and test out my theory. It's kind of impossible to really figure out what that algorithm is, but today has led me to the conclusion that it's probably more than likely tier-based, which is why I'm getting 95 overall matchups if I'm running an 84. Like, overall just seems less important. We dropped back down into Pink Diamond, and in Galaxy Opal tier, I would say my last sort of 15 games, I'm something like 10-5 or 9-6, something along those lines. And like I said, every game has been difficult. The difference here is I won 4 games in a row. Now, these games were still sweaty. They were clearly good players, but I won 4 in a row, and I didn't feel like I was going to lose those games at any point. The games were easier. They weren't easy, but they were easier, and it makes me think that these are like exactly Pink Diamond opponents. Now, before I get into my personal opinion on this, I want to handle some of the obvious objections that I'm going to get to this. I just want to get ahead of them so we don't waste our time acting like this doesn't exist, basically. The most common objection I get when I say things like this is, oh, but Ty Debo wins every game. Guys, Ty Debo just beat every player on the planet to win the 250k championships, including Splash, who is the second best MyTeam player in the world in the final. He wins every MyTeam Madness tournament. He won the global championships. When you talk about skill-based matchmaking and saying that the most skilled player in the world is an argument to that, is ridiculous. He is so skilled that no amount of skill-based matchmaking will ever stop Ty Debo winning every game. It's been 2 years since he lost on Unlimited. He said that on the podcast. That is not an argument to this question, because Ty is just that good. The other argument you might make is, oh, well, people have just generally got better at the game. You know, people like Ty, who I just mentioned, have dropped defensive videos, and Isaac dropped a defensive video, and people just in general are just getting smarter and wiser, like, when it comes to playing the game. Guys, so am I. We all are. We all are. We're all getting better at the game. It doesn't change the fact that I haven't got one decent matchup in this entire season. That doesn't change that fact. Like, everyone's getting better. Sure, that's good. That's a good thing. It happens every year. But it doesn't get to the point. Last year, I went 12-0 8 times, guys. 8 times. And by the end of the season, my matchmaking hadn't changed. Despite the fact everyone was getting better, I was getting better as well. And my step up in ability over the last 6 weeks, like I said, is the steepest curve I've had. And there's people I know. I gave you examples of people I know that have gone 12-0. I have 60% win records this season and can't get Cedric. They've also got better at the game. Everyone has. It's not an argument to the fact that this exists. The final argument that I'm going to get is, oh, well, cards are just better now and they just hit more full whites and all of this stuff. Yes, that is true. That is absolutely true. But again, everyone's cards are better, guys. Skill should still make the difference. It still doesn't explain why I'm constantly running into 12-0 rewards, guys. It just doesn't explain that. It doesn't. It doesn't explain why everyone I play does their settings at the start of the game and all of this stuff. It doesn't explain why I haven't had one easy matchup for this entire season. It doesn't. Within the game, sure. If you match up with someone skill to skill and they beat you because, you know, they hit more full whites because the cards are more overpowered, then that does make sense. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about what happens when you play someone else who's at a similar skill level and the cards can be the difference. I'm talking about the fact that we're matching up with those guys in the first place. So the final question, guys, is what do I think of all of this? Well, the truth is I like it. I think it's a good thing. I think the only downside of this is you're not going to get the 12-0 reward if you're like not top 1%, maybe not top 10%, but you know, anyone outside of that is really going to struggle to go 12-0. That's the only downside. Everything else is kind of an upside. And the reason it seems like such a downside is because I know a lot of people put stock in win records and getting that reward and all of these things. I've never been that guy, guys. I literally couldn't care less if I get the reward. Notorious God is 0.1%. He'll go and get whatever the reward is next season. It will be on my squad. I'll get to use the card, and that's a privileged position to be in. But win ratios and stuff like that, like, I just don't care. 90% of the time, I don't even know what my win ratio is. If you're putting stock in that stuff, I strongly advise you to stop. It's just not a good headspace to be in. outside of that stuff, it's good, guys, because like I would rather lose a game against a skilled opponent, someone who's on a similar skill level to me, because they beat me skill for skill, than just be dealing with algo and this stuff all the time, or just blowing people out every other game. If you take it back and you take the rewards out and you take the win ratio out, it should be more fun to go online and compete against someone who's at a similar skill level. It should be. The reason it's not is because it's preventing us from getting rewards. That psychology is really, really big, because the introduction of win ratios plus the introduction of skill-based matchmaking can feel really defeating. But if you get over that and you just look at the fact that every time you load up, you're going to have a competitive game. And the most important thing is it's going to be fun when you win. Like, for me now, winning some of these games feels as good as going 12-0 because I know how good my opponent was. And we've got to take sort of satisfaction in that. Just in that one game, you know, just being able to beat someone who is a similar skill level or maybe even slightly better than you. There's satisfaction in that. And again, it gives sort of up-and-coming players opportunities and stuff like that. If you still want to go 12-0, you can. Like I said, there's methods out there. If it's just about the reward, you can overall glitch. I'm not going to judge you. I've literally done videos on it. But, you know, the whole mode is built on exploits. Is you know, speed bursting, is shooting full whites knowing that they're going to go in. It's all of this stuff. Like, the game mode is pretty bad on its own. But the one thing that just makes it slightly better for me, as long as algo doesn't sort of influence a game too much, I'm always going to have more fun just playing a competitive game online and not really caring about winning or losing. So that's the video, guys. Please let me know what you think. Like, at this point, I have absolutely zero doubt. Like, nothing's going to change my mind. But feel free to leave a comment. You know, if you're having a wildly different experience, let me know. Try to think about it maybe before you drop the comment, whether, you know, it is actually the fact that, you know, you are good at the game or you're not good at the game, or whether it actually does make sense if you're getting easier matchups because your, you know, history in Unlimited hasn't been great. But, you know, if you are an elite player that's suddenly finding themselves sweating every single game, tell me that as well. Let me know what you think. Guys, that's it. We're streaming tomorrow. We're going to announce 2 guests on the podcast, and we're going to announce a new co-host. I'll be streaming on Twitch at 6 p.m. Eastern. So stop by. Until then, thanks for watching, guys.